Good afternoon and welcome. I want to tell you what this is. What are we doing over here? This is the beginning of a new machzor, a new cycle in Klal Yisrael. Daf Yomi, someone else started, Rameir Shapiro. Mishnah Yomi, I think this was started recently by the OU, but now we have something different. Shulchan Aruch Yomi. We're going to be learning the entire Shulchan Aruch, starting from Orach Chaim, going on to Even Ezer, which is laws about marriage. Then we'll get to Dinei Mamnis, Choshe Mishpat, and we'll get to Youre, which talks about a lot of practical halachos like Basar V'cholav. Of course, my friend Yonasan has smicha Yadin. He has smicha on Choshe Mishpat. He has smicha on Yishol smicha al Youre, V'gam Choshe Mishpat, V'gam Even Ezer, V'gam Orach Chaim.
Yeah.
וגם הלכות לשון הרע, כן? יש לו סמיכה, 5 דברים. That's why החבר שלי יונתן, הוא יושב לידי, הוא רק מדבר עברית. ואני לא יודע, I don't know how this is related to the beginning of my shir. This is an unbelievable undertaking we're starting over here. דבר חדש מאוד. I'm starting a new revolution in Klal Yisrael. They have something called Dirshu, they learn Amud Yomi Mishnah Berurah, but Mishnah Berurah is only Orach Chaim. We have to learn about marriage. You learn Daf Yomi, you learn Seder Nashim, you learn Seder Nezikin, Choshe Mishpat. You learn Youre, Maseches Chulin, you learn these things. You gotta learn the halachas. And today we're gonna learn the halachas. We're gonna start, I'm doing one siman in Shulchan Aruch 5 days a week. I don't have time to do it on Fridays and Shabbos. So that's 5 days a week. It'll take approximately 6.5 years. There are 1,703 simanim in all of Shulchan Aruch. So if you do 6 times 250 around, it'll be 1,500. It's about 6.5 years it'll take. We'll finish this a little bit after the Daf Yomi has completed their cycle. But this is an unbelievable undertaking. Yonatan, mata choshev al zeh. זה דבר טוב לכלל ישראל?
דבר מצוין, כמה שיותר תורה לפרסם.
זה הדבר הכי יותר טוב מדף יומי. אני אגיד לך, I'm going to tell you something. I'm also going to give an Ian shir on the siman. That's going to be a second shir. I'm going to pick one of the halachos that I read in the Shulchan Aruch. And the Shulchan Aruch Yomi, I'm only going to read the Shulchan Aruch. But during Ian Shulchan Aruch, we're going to learn one of the halachos in depth. What's the makor from the Gemara to the poskim to talk about that. And today I'm talking about, this is relevant to this whole learning of halacha. Zeh Shulchan Aruch is a halacha l'maisa. Lomdim halacha l'maisa. אני חושב שזה הפשט, תורה לשמה. מה הפשט של תורה לשמה? מה אתה חושב?
מה שאתה מבין, מה שאתה צריך, מה שצריך לדעת ביום יום.
מה הפשט? הרבה, many people trying to figure out מה זה תורה לשמה. What is Torah לשמה? What is the definition? What is, but everyone says Torah l'shma. I think the Orach Chaim says Torah l'shma. He says it's l'shem Torah. Quotes a rush in Maseches Nedarim. L'shem Torah. You learn for the sake of Torah, and some say that means the highest level of limud of Torah is just to learn Torah. Mechaven limud of Torah, just to learn Torah. Just l'shem Hashem. Some say l'shem l'shma, l'shem mitzvahs Talmud Torah, yichud Hashem, l'shem to know the Torah. But I say that's not the pshat. L'shma. What's the shema? The Hashem shal Torah. Ma Hashem shal Torah. What's the meaning of the word Torah? Torah is a mora derech. It tells you the halachas. That's the whole point of the Torah, right? It says in Perek Yavot, it's lomed al minas lamed, right? If someone learns just to teach other people, right? They must speak in biyado rak lilmod lamed. Lomed al minas lasos must speak in biyado. They give you the ability lilmod lamed lishmor velaso. It's the highest level of Torah is to mekayim the halachas, mekayim the Torah. To do the Torah, that's the Shema, Torah. When you do it for the reason to learn the halachas, to find out what to do. The Shema, the Shem Torah, Mora Derech, to tell you, instruct you, as Rav Chatzkel Levenstein once said in a famous word. You know, when you buy a box, when you buy a refrigerator, they have an instruction manual. Why an instruction manual? Torah is the instruction manual of this world. You don't know how to navigate this world without the Torah. You don't know how to use a fridge without the instruction manual. You don't know how to use the Torah. You don't know how to use this world. Not the Sefer Torah. Without the Torah, and the Torah is the halachas, I'm going to give it to you straight up. Now, I just want to make a disclaimer. I am not a rabbi. I am not qualified to paskin shilas. I'm giving you an overview of what the halachas should look like. You have to go to your Rav, the Rav that is your rabbi, and ask him l'maisa how you should act in questions where there is a suffix among the poskim. If there is no suffix among the poskim, I think it's pretty clear you can rely on that and follow the halacha yourself. Personally, my Rebbe is Yonasan. Yonasan, a Rebbe Shali. So, Yonasan, Yashar Lifso Kalach. Yashar Hulamet. אתה נותן לי סמיכה עכשיו, יונתן? הוא נתן לי סמיכה על אורח חיים, אבן עזר, חושן משבי, יורדיה, וגם הלכות לשון הרע. So now I wasn't a rabbi until now, but Yonasan עכשיו עשה לי rabbi, so אני עכשיו הרב Ben Steele, not rebel, so אני הרב, I am a rabbi, I'm joking, I'm not a rabbi. This is really serious stuff, I'm telling you. The point of the Torah is to know how to keep the Torah. You have to learn the halachas, and what better way? Let's start it off. Orach Chaim, siman aleph. We're going to learn a siman a day. Some siman are longer than others, but we're going to do it in one day. I'm reading the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah, and I'll bring in any noteworthy mafarshim that have their opinions to weigh in on what the practical halacha should be. Let's start it off. Din hashkamas haboker. What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Orach aleph. Hiskaber ka'ari lamud haboker lavodas boro. You should be strong in the morning when you wake up. Get out of bed early. According to the Shulchan Aruch, this is not halacha. I do believe this is advice. You're supposed to get up earlier than dawn break. Amud HaShachar, Orach Shachar, Amud HaShachar, right? That's pretty early. Even people wake up for nates, right? They don't necessarily wake up before Amud HaShachar. This is something that almost nobody does. So the Shulchan Aruch, the first thing in Shulchan Aruch is Orach Shachar, David HaMelech, because we're in Brachos. He got up before the Shachar. He got up in the middle of the night. We're going to learn about getting up in the middle of the night. Tikkun Chatzos. You're supposed to get up before Amud HaShachar. Amud HaShachar is approximately 72 minutes before Neitz HaChama. Some people daven Neitz HaChama. They don't get up from Amud HaShachar. Most people. The recommendation of the Shulchan Aruch is pretty. Some of these halachas will shock you. The Shulchan Aruch says these things, but he says you're supposed to get up early. I'll call panim. B'di'evet, it sounds like. If you can't do that, lo ya'achar zman tefillah she'asir b'mispalin. You should make sure to get up to daven when the Sibur, when it says in the Gemara in Brachos, you're supposed to daven the davening with a minyan, even though it's not a chiyuv, it's more ratzoi, lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It brings more ratzon to Hashem. It's easier to get answered if you daven with a minyan, so you should daven the regular minyan when they daven. So here I live near Bnei Yeshivas, they daven at every single half an hour, so I have no problem with this. You always make one of the minyanim unless you get up at 11 o'clock. All right, Haga ba'alko ponim li'acher. Okay, Haga. So now the Ramah. Shivisi Hashem l'negi samid. Who klal gadol b'Torah? He starts talking a little different Musar over here. The Mishnah Brura in this siman actually says there's a chiyuv to learn Musar every day. This is actually a long machlokus in Slobodka. They had two different mahalchim, whether there's right the Rav Baruch Bar Leibowitz, Rizchak Chanan Spector, they both said there's no chiyuv to learn Musar, but the way it's accepted among Litvish people is that you learn Musar every day. So one of the things of Musar, you should always place Hashem before your eyes. When you're standing in front of Hashem, it's like you're standing in front of a big king, right? You stand in front of Joe Biden, right? You'd be afraid what you're going to do. Or a king, like a king of Saudi Arabia, I don't know, whatever. If you're in front of a king, you have to be very careful, right? So therefore, when you stand in front of Hashem in tefillah, you have to be very careful. Although, it sounds even like he's applying even not to tefillah, even every second of the day, you should be fearful, like you're in front of Hashem, like you're below when you're with your friends and family, you talk freely, right? Not like the way you would talk in front of a king. So to be a big tzaddik, you have to always place HaKadosh Baruch Hu in front of your eyes. Like you're always standing in front of a king. You see Victor Miller, Sipur Victor Miller, Shayoshev Salon Shalo, Ayoshev Im Kova Khalifa Frak Kova Shalo, his frock and his Hamburg or whatever hat he wore. He would sit in his living room like that. He would sit because he was in front of a king. When you go to daven, in front of a king. Hashem sees everything. Hashem says, even if you're in private, I'll see you. You'll be afraid of Hashem. You'll be embarrassed in front of him. A person should not be embarrassed of other people. People will say, this guy, he's a frummy. He's davening 3 times a day. He's learning Torah the whole day and kolel. No, you shouldn't be embarrassed. People will say, no, you should go work. No. No, I'm joking. That's a different discussion. But if he's doing a mitzvah, he's shaking a lulav, and someone's making fun of him, right? He's by the Eiffel Tower, and he's shaking lulav in front of the Eiffel Tower. Right? Don't forget about it. Even people are staring at you. These non-Jews are staring at you, making fun of you. No, you shake the lulav. Gam b'atznei aleches. Also, also when you're walking in private or you're even on your bed. When you get up from your sleep, you should right away go do avodas Hashem Yisbarach. We're going to talk about this. And the practical halacha, one of the practical halachas is that when you wake up right away, you wake out of bed, you're not supposed to jump out of bed right away, because the Gemara in Gittin says it's a bad thing on Daf Ayin. You're supposed to get up slowly, get up right away. Halacha Beis. I'm not sure how many minutes this is going to take, but we'll see. Like we said, preferably you're supposed to get up early. So when you're up early, when you're up after Chatzos, or even before Chatzos, you should daven and supplicate to Hashem at certain times. There's 3 mishmaros halayla, like when Brachos talks about the beginning of Brachos, 3 watches of the night, divided 9 to 12 hours, after 4 hours, after 8 hours, and after 12 hours, at the end of the night. After 4, 8, and 12 hours, those are times to daven to Hashem. Many think that you have to daven to Hashem. Tefillah also shows al churban al gol shetzuya. It's not just preferable to daven about your own sorrows and your own bakashos. You're supposed to daven about the churban Beis Hamikdash and the galus that it should end very soon. Halacha Gimel Roy l'chol Youre Shamayim Shum Meitzer v'doeg al churban Beis Hamikdash. If you're Youre Shamayim, you want to be Youre Shamayim. It's good to be Youre Shamayim. You should feel pain and worry that there's a churban Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash is not rebuilt, and the poskim say that this only applies every single minute of your day, except when you're davening and learning. You're davening and learning, you do it b'simcha. Mitzvah is supposed to be done b'simcha. This is the generally accepted vision. Again, I'm giving you what the poskim say. The rest of the time, you should be depressed, not depressed. You should feel. Is it dikaon? Dikaon al churban. It's called dikaon. Meitzer v'doeg. What does that mean? Meitzer v'doeg. Yeah. So Meitzer v'doeg זה דיכאון או לא דיכאון?
הצטערות, לא דיכאון. מצטערים על המצב של החורבן.
Okay, הצטערות. Okay. So he says it's not דיכאון, it's not depression, it's just being pain. We'll have to ask the psychologists to differentiate between pain and emotional pain and depression. Halacha dal, tov ma'at hachnunim b'kavana maharbos b'lo kavana. This is an important halacha. It's better when you supplicate, when you ask tefillos from Hashem, you should have kavana. You should have know what you're saying. That it's better to do a little understanding what you're saying than a lot that you don't understand what you're saying. This is a nafkamina probably for Psuki de Zimra, where Psuki de Zimra will learn is not exactly 100% a chiyuv. It's a preferable thing you should do, Psuki de Zimra. So we know if you can only understand part of it, it'll take you a little longer. It's better, this is a clear halacha, it's better to say less of Psuki de Zimra as opposed to more of it if you don't understand what you're saying. Halacha hey tov lomar parshas hakedo parshas aman v'aseres hadibros parshas olo mincha v'shlam v'chatas v'asham. If you didn't know this, there's a whole section in your siddur that talks about karbanos. Karbanos. Some people say it. Well, not some people say it. I don't know, but most people, you're supposed, if you get up early, you're supposed to say there's a lot of pages in your siddur that talk about the karbanos. You can look in your siddur. It's good to say this. It's good also to say parshas aman, which is good for parnasa. Aseres hadibros, some people say, and also parts of Ola Mincha, B'Shlam, V'Chatis, V'Asham, say all the karbonos. Hagod, Ramasses, V'Dafka, B'Yachan, Motel Omar says, there was Chalyam, V'Asar, V'Amram. So you can leave if you want. You don't have to stay. Okay, he wants Mincha, you gotta go?
Yeah.
Alright, Yonatan, Shkoyach, thank you, Yonatan, for staying. He gave me smicha, so Baruch Hashem, now I can paskin for myself. Sure, you want to dance? Yeah.
No English.
Alright, they're code.
Minche.
Sure. Tell me that.
Minche.
Okay, tomorrow we're going to dance. Alright, bye. Thank you. Alright, so you're not supposed to say Aseres HaDibros, but Tzibor, together at Sibor. This is Chuvas Harashba. This is quoted, I believe, in Tosos and Brachos. Because then people say Asaras Dibros, people think the whole Torah is Asaras Dibros. There's only 10 commandments in the Torah, and they're not going to know there's really 613 commandments. Allah Chavav, Parshas are going to Yomar Ella Biyom. Since the karbonos, you're not allowed to be makar of a korban during the night. Only you burnt the leftover fats you burnt during the night. Most karbonos have to do during the day. So therefore, the partial karbonos, which are in memory, or actually like you're saying it, some people say, you should say them only during the day after alos hashachar. K'yisayim halacha zayin. K'yisayim parshas ola yomar yiratzon fanecha. Yaakov, how you doing? You want to dance a little bit? Who's a Talmud Chacham? Oh yeah. Yaakov, what do you have to say about this new shir, this new cycle, machzor, new cycle in Klal Yisrael? We're starting something so big over here. This is bigger than Rameir Shapiro, bigger than Daf Yomi. They're gonna have so many people together. They're gonna make a whole island. We're not gonna have a stadium. Not gonna be a stadium. They're gonna go to a whole island, take over a whole island in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, to celebrate the machzor of Shulchan Aruch Yomi.
All the way there, not in Yerushalayim, right?
It's not enough room. That's a problem. We have to rent out a whole island. But it's going to be amazing. 6.5 years, an island in the Caribbean, undecided.
6 years from today?
Around 6.5 years.
Wow.
I haven't figured out exactly. But join, right? You should join. Yaakov's going to join. He's going to be part of this.
It sounds amazing. It sounds something very special, and you could do it. You could do it.
You could do it, especially with me. I'm going to make it clear, concise, to the point, fun, relatable. We'll have a great time. Yaakov's going to be a big part of this.
Sounds amazing.
And
keep up the good job. Mazel tov.
Thank you. Inauguration. We'll have to bring in drinks tomorrow. Yaakov wanted to drink. He wanted a l'chaim.
Little l'chaim.
Yaakov wants a l'chaim. All right. Zayin. K'shisayim parshas ha'ola yomer hirazon v'nacha she'ezeh chashuv makubal ki'ilu hikravti ola. After you say the korban, you say hiratzon, it's like you actually makar the korban. Tefillah to Hashem. We should have the korban. We should have the base of Mikdash rebuilt. You can say this only after korban ola mincha v'shlamim, because those things, technically, if I want to bring to the base of Mikdash, I can bring any time. Machatas v'asham, you only bring if you did an avera. Halacha chet yomer korbanos pasuk v'shachar oso al yerachas be'echtonot me'Hashem. And the korbanos is pasuk of what actually did. You actually did a shechita, and then you brought the korban. Halacha tet yish nogin l'mar parshas akior v'achak parshas shumas hadeshen. The Achak Parshas Tamid, Achak Parshas Mizbeach, Miktar Torah, to Parshas Siman Torah Fast. Also, additionally, there are other things you can look in your siddur. There's other things to say about the Kira. They used to wash their hands, and Shumas Hadeshen. They used to ashes. They used to take off Mizbeach and Parshas Tamid, which is the Korban Tamid they brought every day. An Ola in the morning and an Ola at night before Shkia. And Ketoris, the famous Ketoris. Here in Eretz, we say at the end of davening. You can also say it before davening. Anyway, these are the things that are recommended to do when you wake up in the morning, early in the morning. I hope you enjoyed today's shiur. I'm going to try to keep it 15 to 20 minutes. I think that's a good amount of time for a siman in Shulchan Aruch. Obviously, the longer ones might have to be a little longer, but I try to make it 15, 20 minutes. And again, we have an Ian shiur coming up, Ian on one of the halachos in the Shulchan Aruch, to go a little deeper, to get more depth on one of the halachos. You're not going to want to miss that. Feel fortunate that you have just witnessed the first shiur in a new cycle in Klal Yisrael. Hopefully, this is Torah Lishma, Torah for its shame, for its purpose, Lishma, Limora Derech, to show you what the halachos are, how you keep the Torah. It says, Kol Hamashana halachos b'chol yom, shei halachos b'chol yom, muftach lo shu ben olam haba. Someone who learns 2 halachos every day. How many halachos did we learn today? We learned 9 halachos. So that's 9 times 2. That's 4.5 times olam haba. It's pretty good, right? Some siman are even longer. So you can definitely get Olam Haba. You join this. I guarantee it. And we'll see you with Ian Shulchan Aruch coming up next.